I'd like to call this meeting to order. Roll call.
Mr. Dangler,
Here.
Dr. Voigt,
Here.
Mrs. Wittes, Dr. Selly,
Here.
Mr. Vieira.
Here.
I hereby certify that this meeting has been published in the newspaper and adequate and electronic notice has been provided in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act and New Jersey Administrative Code Title V, Chapter 39, Section 1.5, NJAC 5:39-1.5, Notice of Remote Public Meetings as required by law.
Thank you. All right, our first item, 111 Park Avenue agreement that has been moved. So we'll move right on to Leslie Court. Then we have Lieutenant Charlie here for that.
Hello, how are you guys?
Good.
So what's going on over at Leslie Court is years ago, we did an ordinance sorry? Oh.
Sorry.
Years ago, we did an ordinance restricting parking on the cul-de-sac and all sides of Leslie Court. Since that time, as you guys know, we've been doing a lot in the Elbron section with parking, especially this close to the beachfront. We had a local resident who was also an attorney approach Mr. Jackson and myself. He actually had all of the homeowners sign an agreement that he was representing them. We made him go out and actually speak with them and get a consensus on what they wanted. And what they came back with, they've requested that we rescind the parking on just the west side of Leslie Court to allow them to park there. Some of the hardships they mentioned is there's now 4 brand new homeowners on that street. Some of them have kids. If they want to play basketball, if they want to do anything, the residents can't even pull their cars out onto the road to let the kids play basketball, in their own driveways. So we met with him. If you guys see attached to the package is his letter, and all he's asking for is to rescind the one side, but to leave the no parking on the east side of the street. Did I miss anything, Mr. Jackson?
No, that pretty well summarizes it. I will tell you that he came in originally with a request for some permit parking, and that was rejected because of the action that had taken place previously. The residents had all asked for no parking to get relief from some of the crowding that goes on in the neighborhood. And he came back with this offer, which we thought was very reasonable. And it's really compatible with what goes on in many of the streets in that area. You have one side allowed, one side forbidden. So this fits right in with the scheme in that section of town.
All right. Does any council have any questions for Mr. Lieutenant Charlie? All right,
No
that was quick. Thanks, Lieutenant.
No problem.
Thank you. Okay, review of the regular meeting. I'm gonna, George, you want to say something before of the agenda?
I think we had one more traffic one, Mr. Jackson, right?
Yes, and I'd spoken to the council president. This was actually a simpler matter, but I asked the council president in the agenda review if I could make you aware. We have an ordinance for introduction on tonight for West End Court, or West End Avenue, forgive me for West End Court. As you're all aware, with the Chabad's development, there were changes in the parking. And Dr. Prudian, who has the health center on West End Court, found that his ability to have his patients park in the lot has been hampered quite a bit by way of the development and the planning board resolution. He understands that we can only do so much for him, but one of his complaints, and Lieutenant and I agreed, that he has patients there for chiropractic and other healthcare, and several of them are handicapped in need of handicap parking. And he's lost the ability to do that with the development of the Chabad parking lot. So the police department went out and surveyed the neighborhood, and the lieutenant made a recommendation for the installation of one handicap spot in front of his building on West End Court. However, that being said, this would not be just exclusively for his patients. We can't just identify a certain business and give them a parking spot on the public street, but it would be in proximity to his building. We think it's a good solution for everyone in the neighborhood. Lieutenant, can you identify exactly where that is?
Sure. We also as Laura will tell you, normally it's supposed to be located as close to the entrance as possible. But to not have Dr. Prudian over this have to chop up the sidewalk and put in handicap access, we put it as close to the most recently provided access from the Shabbat, which has handicap access. So it's just past the entrance to the parking lot that has been recently redesigned and meets all the 8A requirements.
All right. Thank you. Anybody have any questions with that? Okay,
And
thank you.
both of those issues are on ordinance introductions for tonight's
Yes.
agenda. Just want everyone to be aware and in the event you had any questions or concerns. So thank you.
Okay, thank you, Lieutenant.
You're welcome, sir.
Okay, regular review of the regular meeting agenda. Does anybody have any questions regarding the agenda?
Does anybody have any more information about those the Sustainable Jersey small grants? Who's eligible, how it's going to be publicized, just a little bit more information about it.
You're talking about the small business grants, Anita?
Yep. Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, as you know, we had the Small Business Resource Fair today. We had some up at the museum. George, correct me if I'm wrong, but pretty much they're $5,000 grants. They're, you obviously have to provide some paperwork from what I recollect, tax returns and letters from loss of business and vendors and things like that. But it's a pretty straightforward, fairly easy application. So the idea would be, and that's important because, and the turnaround time on the grants is very quick as well. So as you know, it was a few months ago, we did 30. And I believe Jake has about 30 more that he can do now, that were part of the CARES Act funding. So, yeah, I'm glad you brought it up. But, anybody, who any small business should apply. You have to be a business here in Long Branch. And, part of the problem is, too much paperwork and a long turnaround time. And we wanted to avoid that, which we have. So the application process is fairly simple. Rob and Jake will actually have taken several people through the process. So if you just give him a call, they could be very helpful. And like I said, the turnaround time is pretty quickly because people obviously need the money now.
And Mayor, it has to be COVID related?
I'm sorry, Anita, what was
It has
that?
to be COVID related?
No, it's any business.
Okay,
No.
good.
Any business well, COVID related in the sense that, your business has been suffering as a result of COVID. Yes. Is that
Okay.
what you meant?
Yep. Mhm, mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Thank you, Anita. And I had a question about the ordinance 95-21, reducing the performance for Black Ridge. Can you explain me a little bit about that, George? Or somebody that knows, Lou?
I can.
I got that one.
Essentially, that's a project that's under construction. Under the law, developers are entitled to request reductions. We have to maintain a minimum of 30% of the overall performance guarantees that are required for a project. So based upon our inspection of that project, we prepared a recommendation to reduce the bonds for that project based upon installed improvements.
Oh, okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody else? All right.
Council President, could I just say, because I do have it here, just to follow up on Anita. So if you could call Jake Jones or Rob Ferragino at Community Development, the phone number there is 732-923-2043. And like I said, they could, go over all the details and help you with the process if you need to.
Okay, good.
Thank you, Mayor.
Yeah, okay, good. Thank you.
We're good, Anita?
Yeah.
Good.
Mhm.
I need a motion to close the public portion of the meeting.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I need a motion to adopt a resolution to go into executive session for the following items. Contract negotiations, Juneteenth, municipal pool, Ocean Plaza, attorney-client privilege, cannabis, Belmont project, litigation, Empire Wind project, and personnel.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right.